Hi, welcome back to Musical Peoples and Journeys, rock album review. Welcome to my panel, to Dave, to Chris, to Paul, and to Ian. Welcome, panel.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Oh.
So, we are reviewing the latest rock album. So, this is a slightly different take, because normally we do a head-to-head album, but this time we are doing, for the first time ever, just a solo album review. The album in particular is by somebody called Edward Reekers, and the album is called Liberty Project. And the reason we're doing it is that it's a double album. It's a double album, it's a concept album, it caught my interest, and so I thought we'd try something a little bit different. So I threw it out there as a bonus album to review this month. And so let's go and discover who is Edward Reekers, and to give you a bit of background on him. So Edward Reekers, born in May 1957. So, been around as a Dutch singer and voice actor. Most of his work as lead Dutch singer of progressive rock band Kayak, and having been a fan of the band for years, Reekers joined Kayak in '78. He replaced Max Werner, who became the band's drummer, which Reekers as a newly singer. Kayak immediately scored their biggest European hit, Ruthless Queen, accompanying album Phantom of the Night, reached gold in the Netherlands. Apart from his work with Kayak, Reekers sings backing vocals on many albums from Dutch and Belgian artists. He also lends his voice to commercials, radio jingles and cartoon movies. Reekers is a part-time actor and film director specialising in Dutch lip synchronisation of famous films including Harry Potter films and some Disney cartoons, so a multi-talented guy. But this is obviously a passion project that he's been working over many years, and it just caught my interest. Did it catch yours then, Paul? Let's start with you on this one. Edward Reekers, this double album, concept album. Talk to us. Give us a bit of background on this.
Well, to escape the opening phrase of a popular radio show, at MJP we listen to all types of rock. Soft rock, hard rock, power metal, and lately the type of music that Edward Reekers offers, operatic rock, or not, as the case may be. Liberty Project is obviously a work of love and dedication. You can't create and produce an album like this without giving it your all. It is a combination of prog rock and theatrical rock. The best way to describe this album is it feels like a soundtrack to a movie or theatrical show. It might not suit everyone, but the quality is outstanding. I felt like none of the songs were overdone or bloated. Some are more theatrical than I would have liked, but Reekers doesn't overcook any of these songs or instrumentals. He delivers on what he has promised, which for me is liberating and sets him above many of the offerings in this field of music that we've heard over the years. I also love the sax in the breakup. So, if you're into this type of thing, forget Les Miserables, listen to the Liberty Project.
Ian, Paul just said, forget Les Miserables and listen to the Liberty Project. I mean, now, you are a theatre buff, my friend. Talk to us.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned Disney, because there's definitely Disney in the background. There's in his background, sorry, not the background in this album. There's also musically. Musicals are my thing. Number one, they are my thing. So when listening to this album was an absolute pleasure. It really was. There was so much in there. The Liberty Project is absolutely a project. Yes, it's concept. It is more like a musical, but a very, very different musical from one we're usually hearing. And so I can understand the comment of, forget Les Mis, listen to this, because it is very different. Of course, no one would want to forget Les Mis if you're into musicals at all. But this does offer something different. That beautiful opening track, into atmospheric thumping drums that are building dramatically to a solid rock anthem. It's just it has great voices. The artists that Edward has chosen to work with here. I don't know if they're artists he's worked with before, if they're a staple group or whatever. Absolutely perfection. Brilliant, really, really well curated album. I thought Two Lifetimes, just to mention one, I'm not going to go through all the tracks. I could easily go through all the tracks, but I'm not going to. But I thought Two Lifetimes, it's kind of maybe he's been turned down for a Bond theme, and he's like, well, this is what I would have produced. It's fantastic. This album hits all my buttons square on the head with a lump hammer. Absolutely. The melodies, the chord structures and progressions. I've mentioned Charles Cornell before, but I think this would give him enough material to analyse for a month of YouTube videos. It was absolutely beautiful. There's also some fantastic rock injections from a number of genres in there. I would say there is something here for everybody. If you want something very different to listen to and really get immersed in, absolutely. I've got a 9-hour flight back to the UK after this. This is absolutely on that playlist for the flight home and for the future. Absolutely love this concept album.
Dave?
Well, sometimes you listen to an album and it's not your particular taste, and this is one that falls into that category. But again, it's one that I can appreciate exactly why people would enjoy this. There's some great guitar work and some great musical work on here in general. It's just not enough for me. It's far too operatic. Again, as I mentioned with a previous review, it's one that it almost needs an accompanying stage show to really sort of bring everything out of it. If this is your taste, you'll really enjoy this. But it's just not for me, unfortunately. I did prefer more the instrumental stuff. Some of the vocal performances were a bit wishy-washy for me, but as I say, there's a lot to be enjoyed here. It's just not my style.
So, Chris, I know you're good friends with Ian. Has his theatrical musical taste influenced you at all?
I'm amazed that Ian is into musicals. That's just never come across in the discussions that I've had
with him,
right? Ever.
It's a shock.
I kind of agree with quite a few viewpoints here. Definitely, as Ian said, he's either been turned down for a Bond film or he was aiming for one, because there's a couple of the songs in here that I've listened to and it's like, I recognise this. Where's Daniel Craig? Now, the downside to it being, it is a rock opera and it works, it really does, but not as an album for me. It needs that underpinning, the theatrics, the stage show. As an album in and of itself, not so much. I wasn't taken. I was taken enough to be interested to go see the stage show, as I am with a certain numerically named show that I've spoken about a few times. But as an album itself, I don't think I'll be listening to this again. There's a couple of very good guitar solos, and as Paul mentioned, the saxophone was brilliant. But as an album, this didn't get me in the way that I think the stage show would. I would very much be interested in seeing a stage show based on it. But as an album itself, it didn't grab me in the right way, I'm afraid.
So Trish absolutely adored this. So she's on that level with Ian. She absolutely adored this album. God. My problem with this album is, and I don't want to personally attack anybody, and so Edward, if you ever do listen to this one, I'm really sorry. I understand why you're a backing singer. Quite frankly, an album of this grandiosa needs a far more powerful kind of lead singer on this one, and I agree with Dave. I think some of the vocals was wishy-washy. And for me, underpinning this all, and I listened to the album and I left it and I went and I thought, maybe I'm going to be too harsh here on the singing. And I listened to it again and I ended up skipping because I just found his lead vocals just not strong enough for something like this. It just wasn't. I mean, that's the ultimate. And don't forget, this is my personal view of it and my personal taste. If you listen to these sort of kind of like Hamilton and that sort of stuff as well. unfortunately, and I would look forward to the duets because the female lead was really good, and I would more be looking, oh, please. But having said that, I agree with everything. Instrumentally, composition, the production was fantastic. Some of the musicianship was amazing. It really, really was knock out of the park. There wasn't quite enough catchy tunes for me, and I'm afraid to say, for me personally, Edward's lead vocals just were not strong enough to carry a 17 double album such as this. It just wasn't. It just simply wasn't. And I certainly wouldn't go to watch this on the stage because of that. If it was another lead singer who I would listen to and recognise, I might kind of go from that side of it. And the concept was a little bit hard to achieve because, listen, and this one caught me as well, it's kind of interesting, it was like an alternative future. What would happen if things had been differently as an alternative future? And it was hard to relate to. So therefore, was that theme, strong enough? If you look at I mentioned Hamilton because the theme, you really do knew what was understood, and it was quite an historical kind of go. And then you compare that to the Heights, which is nowhere near as good as Hamilton, but at least there was an understandable kind of theme going through that as well. So it's difficult to understand what that concept really meant as a stage show as well. So yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a kind of middle of the road really. Then for me at the end, it's not an album I love musical theatre as well. I was certainly not forget about Les Mis over this one, but in a million years, not even close. But yeah. Anyway, so what would we give this as a rating then? So Paul, let's start with you.
I give it 3.5.
Ian?
I would love to hear Jamie Moscato in the lead for this, 100%. 5 out of 5.
I'd already written that for the record.
Yeah.
Right. I've already written the 5 down there.
Yeah.
Dave?
I'm going to give it a 2.5 because it is very good musically, I've got to admit.
Chris?
I'm going to give it a 5, but there is a 3 point before that. I mean, just going back to what you were saying about sorry, Nigel, about the lead vocals. There is a bit in there where it's I don't think it's into the future. I think it's actually out of the past. But there's a point where he's effectively saying into the future, and it's supposed to be kind of this upleading thing, and it just falls flat.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you were saying, I think it's I can't pronounce her surname, but the female lead vocalist, so much better. Get two people of the same sort of level there, blow you out of the water. But yeah, the lead vocalist.
I agree. Yeah. I give this a 3. And for once we're gonna include everybody's scores on this one as well. So we didn't get a chance to review it yet with the other team, but Trish did give it a 5. So we've got so we're gonna have to work out the average here as well. But it looks pretty solid. If we say between me and Trish it was a 4, you're looking at 7.5, 9.5, 10, 13.5, 18.5. Which is pretty damn solid, really. I think it kind of it was definitely worth kind of listening to. And maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll do solo album reviews in the future when something like this comes along. So thank you very much. Well done to Edward Reekers. 18.5 is a pretty damn solid score. I think it's going to be borderline top, certainly out of the 271 albums we've now reviewed. It's going to be top 100, probably top 70, top 80 albums, which is pretty darn good, really. 18.5, really big score. Well done, that one. And apologies.
I'd like to name check the female singer, Cindy Oosthoorn. She was fantastic. Definitely. Really good. Sorry, nice.
No, that's fine. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. If you do you agree, do you disagree, please leave your comments below. And please, if you enjoy, like and subscribe. Check out our latest interviews. We got lots of those. Thank you very much once again to my wonderful panel, to Dave. Thank you, Chris. And welcome to the panel. And thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ian. All the best. Keep rocking out there. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.